heal yourself first, because the more we become whole and healed, like Yogi has been sharing, she's been going on this journey towards wholeness, towards authenticity, so then she can speak for the wounds that she experienced rather than from them.
You and I both have this one thing that we want our audience, we're here to know that they're not alone. We're all on the same journey. We might experience it differently, and ways that we could hopefully hear one another and find courage or encouragement or ways to cope with different situations. But what you said makes perfect sense. And you said paralyzed. So how often something that happened, you said in childhood, and mistake or whatever the situation was, and we felt paralyzed, and then we're so capable and you could grow, but you become stuck.
Exactly. And if you think about it, that fear of, it was actually a survival fear, because as a small child, all of us, this is true for everyone, a small child is dependent on the caregivers. And unfortunately, it is really, well, this isn't the unfortunate part. It is truly, in my belief system, true of our Indigenous brothers and sisters, the belief that it takes a village to raise a child. Okay. I believe that with all my being. And so it is very difficult for so many parents who are, it's either just a mama, or it's a mom and a dad, or two partners, okay, of the same sex. It could be that also. But the important thing is they're by themselves. And so they don't have the support of a village. And so in that, here's this child who is dependent on one or two people. And those people, for whatever reason, aren't able to be there for them. Okay, so the child then stops being who they are and adapts to be safe. So they stop being their authentic self, which is enough. They stop being that, and they say, I've got to always strive to be enough to please whoever these caregivers are. If we don't have an awakening, okay, we're carrying that into adulthood. And so we cannot be authentic when we're constantly in that survival mode of, okay, am I going to be accepted? Am I going to be loved? And it's coming, as you know, from the child, the little child within that is feeling that threat, not only in the amygdala, but also in the vagus, as you know about the polyvagal theory. It's also in the vagus nerve. That sense that there's no safety here unless I'm pleasing everybody in the group. And to be frank, it's impossible to please everyone, period. But when we've been trained, our nervous system has been trained that way as a small child, we carry that over until we get some insight, which is the first step towards developing courage.
And courage comes and goes, doesn't it?
It does. You've heard me say my courage is tired today. And this again is that a mistake? Or is that simply an honest, vulnerable statement that I need more rest? I may need support. I may just need to put everything on hold for a little while to recover. You know, it's getting to know yourself and not judging yourself for not being 100%.
And who is ever 100%? And, I strive to be that 100%. I'm sure others who are listening here could probably
identify.
See that. That's the word, identify with me. This is just a perfect example. So I'm going to shift focus. So when I can't think of a word or when I can't be articulate, that can really get me spinning. Because why? I don't want to be wrong, look good, look bad, or look like I don't know what I'm talking about. But guess what?
About that. Yeah. But think about that. You don't feel
Right.
safe.
Within that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And your only way of knowing to be safe is to be 100% and not ever misspeak or not hear something or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of your nervous system. So that's why I want everybody listening to know how much courage Yogi has, because even so, you keep putting yourself out there.
And I will do it more so because I don't want my courage to be constantly shattered by thoughts and lack of reality, because those thoughts and beliefs keep me from being who I am, authentic self. It's a theft, right? It steals my thunder. It steals who I am as an essence of human person that I am. And I know who I am is the person who has hands full of seeds standing there, putting it on the earth. And I know I can nurture those seedlings with my water because I have a lot of water to give. And when I do that, I create this beautiful garden or food, which is ample for everyone in the universe to have, because that's who I am. I want others to feel whole, good, enough, capable, loved. And sometimes I get into mischief. And that's where that courage comes from, Deb. It's because I don't want my light to be extinguished by water or the high wind that kind of flames it too high. I want it to be constant and productive in my work that I have. So, I mean, that's my plight, right? I was discouraged as a child, and I want every child around the world to feel capable, go through challenges. I don't want children to be catered to. I don't want them to have everything, because then they won't be their authentic self of who they're supposed to be. So this podcast is not about how we keep our child from developing this feelings of feeling discouraged at times, because that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
But we don't have them to feel traumatized over and over and over. And trauma is when you feel that you are no longer safe and you are down and out. But I want them to also know that sometimes when they do feel that way, they have the courage to get out of it, because I did. I've had crazy trauma. I'm not yet open to sharing about it, because I think we need to have trust between the folks who are listening and myself. So eventually we can do that. But I will tell you that we're making change around the world as teachers, as parents, and soon we can tell our governments to help, because when we have discouraged children, it takes more time, takes more effort to get them to grow and be who they authentically are. And it costs our government more money on mental health, and we're missing out on future capable people in our workforce, in our communities. So when we have healthy minds, we're going to have a healthy, sustainable community where we're going to be able to support one another. So sometimes we think we have to suppress, we have to oppress, we have to do a lot of these things, or punish the children so that they can learn. And I think the point is, yeah, sure, I was punished and I turned out fine. But if you lived inside of me, you can see the flames and fire. And that was very painful. And why would we do that to children? And not everyone's going to be resilient enough to survive that. So look at the children who won't be able to thrive as a result, because the pressure and the stresses will overwhelm them and keep them from being their best self. So children are born with 100 billion neurons. We know that, or more. And it's what we do with them. So creating safe, inclusive environment where they feel capable, where they feel encouraged. And when we know what our mistakes and what are ways that our children can grow, I think those are all the things that got me all fired up, Deb. I don't even know if we were on topic, but I just felt a moment to share my thoughts.
Absolutely.
So thank you.
And I wanted to draw everybody's attention, including yours, to what you just did. You were speaking from your authentic self.
Yeah.
And that dialogue that you just shared with all of us, you were speaking from your authentic self, what is part of your soul's passion to bring onto this planet. You were speaking, that was courage, Yogi. That was from your courageous self, what you just did. I was like jumping up in joy, inside myself. If I was listening, I was like, yes. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I was like, yes. But I do want to call everybody's attention to what you just did. You've spoken, you were talking about, some of your pain earlier. And oftentimes when we go in, like, for instance, you said, I will apologize when there's nothing to apologize for.
Yeah.
Okay. That is speaking from the wound.
Mm.
Okay. Well, we apologize for our very presence on the planet.
That's right.
Okay? We are speaking from our wounds. What you just did, that everybody just had an opportunity to hear, you were speaking for the wound. You were saying, okay, I've experienced this. I know the pain of not feeling safe. I know the pain of being discouraged. And I don't want that for any person on this planet, in our children. I do not want this for our children. That is speaking for the wound. You are no longer a victim then. You are standing up and saying, I am this is my path. This is my goal on this planet. This is what I value. That was speaking for the wound. Bravo. I couldn't have gotten a more perfect example than what you just did.
Thank you. Thank you for reflecting, because I did feel heard and I felt the emotion as soon as you said it, because you never know what you said or how you said it when you get into that passionate, at least I don't, maybe others do. But then when someone reflects back what they got from it, you didn't say good job and great. You really listened to me. You validated what I had to say. You knew the nuggets. You saw what was the gem, right? The gem, and you pointed out that was a ruby and that was an emerald. And I think that if I can give to the parents on looking for what their children are doing super well, and it's telling them when they are capable. I know my dad would sit me on his lap after I've had a discouraged thing, and I was a challenged child. I was having some challenges, which we'll talk about one time. And my parents may or may not have known. And my dad would say, I would go into this anger and rage. And if you're a parent out there listening to this and knowing that your child has these big tantrums or yells or fights back, it's their way of sharing some pain that they're feeling, but they can't articulate it. And they think everyone knows it, but no one's helping. And they're angry. And my dad would sit me on his lap, and after he would scold me for not knowing my multiplications or whatever that was, always it was about some homework or something I did to embarrass them, because I used to dance using my sheets as a sari, and they would have guests, and it was always, come on, could you quit it? And I couldn't. So
or wouldn't.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't, but even if I wanted to, my innate desire was to make others laugh and feel fun, joy. That was the entertainment quad, and others just didn't get the memo. So I would do all of this, and my dad would put me in his lap and say, we love you and you shouldn't do it this way or that way. And I remember being stubborn. I'm never going to forgive you. And my dad would stand by me. And my mother was so exhausted, she would always show her love through food, which I didn't know. She wouldn't come and coddle. She wasn't a very emotional person, but she would make your favorite meals. So I knew that I was loved and I knew I was important. Though somebody had told me, a cousin, when I was 12, that I was adopted, but because I had other pains that were going on, I latched onto I was adopted and I was different, and I kept looking for signals that I was adopted. Oh, I don't look like them. That's right. That's why they yell at me, because I am not their child. Of course, I was their child. But children go through different things because they don't know. And that's something that we pointed out in this podcast. And we've gone all over the place to talk about mistakes. And hopefully you, the listeners.
And those that are not mistakes, that are simply, I don't know, but I can learn.
Yes.
Right?
So why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't we just be curious and allow others to be different?
Instead of even calling a mistake. I wonder why that happened. Because yesterday you knew 2 + 2 = 4. What's going on that's different today? Now, of course, that does take time and patience, but I encourage all of us that are listening and listening to Yogi's wisdom here, and that is question everything. Heal yourself first, because the more we become whole and healed, like Yogi has been sharing, she's been going on this journey towards wholeness, towards authenticity, so then she can speak for the wounds that she experienced rather than from them. Mm-hmm. Each one of us, we will become a healthier, happier, whole parent by taking care of ourselves first. When I have said things or done things that were hurtful to my children, it was because of my own pain and my little girl that wasn't healed or even seen. Okay, she needed to be seen in order for me then to see my own children. Yeah. And I don't know if that's true for anybody else, but it certainly has been true for me. I so appreciate your wisdom, Yogi, and your vulnerability and your commitment to speaking for your wound to be of service to the children of our world.
Thank you. I hear you and I feel you. And thank you for always being so encouraging of not just me, but the whole community. And your wisdom is always really, really appreciated. And who you are, your light and your wisdom, your words are always to bring me up. I feel like I'm in yoga. And when they say, imagine your hair is to the ceiling, I feel tall when I'm with you. So gratefully yours too. I'm Yogi Patel. Don't forget to press follow and listen to more. And Deb, I invite you to come and have more conversations, because we can always talk for hours about any topic.
I would be so honored, because I always learn from you.
Yeah, much love.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Deb. If you like the content of this video, please don't forget to follow. And also, if you want more information, visit the website, yogipateltte.com.